So how did this happen? Well, one day I had the brightest of ideas that it would be fun to go roller skating at the new roller skating rink. Now, my parents tried to teach me when I was a child, but it didn't work out. And I thought, well, better late than never, I suppose. And while they did advertise skating instructors, I couldn't get in contact with anybody. So, and then I thought, well, my boyfriend knows how to skate. He can teach me. And it seemed to be working out for me in the beginning. Until I lost my balance. And my left leg wrapped around my right. As I went down, I could hear my bone break with my whole body weight coming down on my left leg. Now, I don't blame the skating rink or my boyfriend for what happened to me. It was my decision to go to the roller skating rink, and it was fun until it wasn't. It was my decision to go to the skating rink, and it was my own damn fault I broke my leg. Now, I'm not trying to discourage anyone from going to a roller skating rink. It was fun for a little bit. But if you have poor balance, I would recommend waiting until your balance gets better, which is what I should have done. Now, right after my fall, I started screaming and hollering in pain because I just broke a bone. The skating rink employees went to my help, and they called the ambulance. While the ambulance didn't take a long time, it felt like it was, because when you're in pain, every minute feels like an hour. Now, the closest hospital to the skating rink was Mary Immaculate, and I was in no mood or mindset to argue with them. While the ambulance driver drove slowly and carefully, all you can probably hear was me going, ow, 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 ow. Now, when I got there, Mary Immaculate just took a few x-rays, wrapped me up pretty good in a splint, and sent me home with painkillers and crutches. That's it. That's all they did for me. I was told the following morning to call their orthopedic surgeon, but I did not feel like talking to anybody. I had more excitement than I can handle at the skating rink. So I ended up spending the entire Super Bowl weekend wrapped up in a splint. It was interesting, but 0 out of 10. When I called that Monday, I was told that their orthopedic surgeon was not in the office. And my dad was not having it. He went ahead and just took me to Riverside Regional Medical Center because he knew that they treated him well during his surgery. And he knew that they would take better care of me than Mary Immaculate did. And it was true. I felt like Riverside did more for me than Mary Immaculate. I was actually admitted into Riverside Hospital that very night for surgery the next morning. Now, I was really surprised that I didn't get a cast, because I always saw people with broken bones get casts on TV shows and such. And I actually had a lot of people ask me about me getting a cast. But what the doctors and nurses told me was that my leg was so screwed up that surgery was the only option. Now, for my surgery the following morning, I was told not to eat or drink before midnight to prevent nausea and fluid getting into my lungs, which would have been bad. Now, I was supposed to be the first person on the schedule, but then somebody needed brain surgery. There was no competition there. I had a broken leg. Somebody had a broken brain. So I just sucked it up and waited another couple hours. It was a very long wait. So I was so relieved when the operating team was ready for me. My operating team was headed by Dr. Anderson, and since it was my first surgery, I really appreciated them taking the time to talk with me and tell me what to expect. A special shout out goes to the anesthesiologist working with Dr. Anderson. He had incredible bedside manner, and his voice was so warm and comforting. It really did put me at ease. I want to give a special shout out to my dad. He was with me all day and made sure to support me during my first surgery. Now, when the time finally came, they wheeled me into the operating room. Somebody put a mask over my face and told me to breathe deeply. I was out in seconds, but the next thing I knew, I was waking up in the post-operating room. They wheeled me back to my room, and my whole family was there to support me. I felt so grateful for my family being there, but it's been at least 12 hours since I ate anything, so I was beyond hangry. And I was also in pain, because I had surgery. So everyone decided to leave to just give me space. Except my boyfriend, who actually got me a burger and fries. And while we were watching The Greatest Showman, one of my favorite movies, I almost spilled my fries. And I almost cried. So I was not myself. The following night was miserable, to say the least. But I'm grateful for my boyfriend being there all night, making sure I was okay. These are before and after x-rays of my leg. Now, during the procedure, they actually inserted a metal rod into my leg and secured it with 4 screws. Now, the first thing I noticed when I woke up from my surgery was that my leg was wrapped in Cobain wrap. Now, Cobain wrap is a type of gauze that actually attaches to itself. Now, I was told by my surgeon to not put weight at all on my left leg for 6 weeks. That means I can't stand on it, I can't put weight, nothing. While I am able to hop around on a walker and my right leg, I normally stayed in bed all day. Now, I wasn't bored, don't worry. I had plenty of books, I had my crochet, I had movies that my sister packed for me that I can play on my laptop, so I was good. Now, since I stayed in bed all day, I couldn't get up to use the restroom, even if I wanted to. If I needed to go, number one, they actually had like this contraption called a Wix. It kind of reminds me of a tampon, but you're supposed to put it like beside where the urine comes out. And just hold it there, and then it'll suck up the urine into a little bag. Now, when you go into surgery, your major organs are put to sleep. And it does take a while for them to wake up. I know a couple days after my surgery, I know there would be a bit of a lag between when I tell my bladder that it's time to empty itself and the process actually starting. Now, it's very important when you go into surgery to tell them every little medical condition that you have, as well as any medications that you are supposed to be taking. I know this because I made the mistake of not telling them I had irritable bowel syndrome. And I was actually going to start taking the medications I have for that right when I actually broke my leg in the first place. Now, going back to what I said before about your major organs waking up, I had no bowel movements at all for like a week, which was kind of bad. And in that time, like I said, I didn't tell them, and I didn't really realize that it was that important. But they actually gave me laxatives every day. And what I came to find out the hard way is that it made my IBS worse. Now, the night before I was supposed to go to rehab, the laxatives came back with a vengeance. Like, every couple hours, it would come out. Needless to say, I did not get any sleep that night at all. I was sent in a world of pain the entire night. And I would still feel the pain right when I checked into rehab the following day. Now, I do want to shout out all the nurses that actually took care of me, especially Miss Vivian. She worked night shifts and she cleaned me up after every accident that I had, and she didn't make me feel like I was a burden or anything. She kept it professional. She did her job very well, and I'm really grateful for her and not making me feel bad the whole night. I really did appreciate all the care that I had, not just from Miss Vivian, but every nurse that I came across. They were awesome. I loved every single one of them. They actually had these awards called Daisy Awards to highlight amazing nurses, and I wish I can give them all daisies. Things were going a lot better for me once I got to rehab. It was a newish rehab facility in Yorktown, and it is beautiful. Now, I was still non-weight bearing, so I still had to live in a wheelchair or in bed all day. But I was really grateful enough to have stuff to keep me busy in the meantime between my appointments. And one of the things that really surprised me was the food. I know hospitals get a lot of flack for having bland food, but my God, some of these dishes were awesome. And the most delicious thing I've ever had when at rehab was this patty melt. And oh my God, it tasted like I paid for it. It was delicious. The facility also has a really nice PT gym, and I was scheduled to have physical therapy 3 hours every day, and every day was leg day. Now, they didn't just have physical therapy, they actually had recreational therapy as well. They actually had the cutest therapy dog, which had like a resting sad face. It was adorable. Now, one thing I noticed when at the rehab facility was that I was young. I was the youngest person there. So it felt kind of awkward at first, but once I started going, I started feeling okay, whatever. Now, the rehab facility actually organized transportation for me to go to my orthopedic follow-up appointment, where I was able to finally see my new leg. Now, it was my first time breaking a bone ever. So I was quite shaken up when I saw my new leg and the stitches and the swelling. My God, the swelling. One of the things that I noticed was really odd to me was that my foot was bruised and swelling, like elephant-sized swelling. Before the accident, I thought bruises were bad. But then I found out that bruises actually mean that your body is healing. Now, through this experience, it actually taught me a lot. Like, never go roller skating again. But also how the body heals after surgery. Now, I had more cuts than I expected to see. I actually had 4 cuts in total. 2 minor ones and 2 major ones. The minor ones, one was near my ankle and one near my knee. And the 2 major ones, one was above the fracture where my bone broke, and the other was on my thigh where they actually inserted the rod. Now, they actually had a wound care nurse actually come in and check on me every now and again. And she actually said that I had a beautiful bruise. And I was like, huh? Again, this is my first time, so I didn't know. But what I came to find out was that bruises heal, and that they actually change colors when they heal. And my bruise was at the color it was supposed to be at that space and time. So, beautiful bruises are actually the type of bruises that are supposed to be there and that are healing properly. I actually got my stitches out the same day, and it felt a little bit uncomfortable, but I just powered through it. After my appointment, I actually was transported back to rehab, where I stayed until I was clear to go home on February 29th. Of course, with the food they were giving me, I would have been okay with staying in much longer. Now, this is my leg right after the stitches were taken out. I also had a black spot on my heel, but it was a side effect of the surgical procedure, and it actually did fall off by itself a few months later. Now, my discharge date was February 29th. The first thing me and my family did once they got me out of rehab was take me to Golden Corral. And I was still non-weight bearing, so I had to hobble around it on a walker. So you can imagine how difficult it was. And I'm glad that my family had so much patience with me, because it was a long while before I was able to sit down at our table. My wheelchair was delivered to my house right when I got home. Now, right when I got home, I had to stay in the living room for a long while. My family is fortunate enough to have a pull-out bed in the living room. So it wasn't too bad just staying in bed all day and watching TV and doing my ankle exercises and whatnot. Now, I actually started Riverside Home Healthcare, and it was great. It was a struggle trying to go places when you're not weight-bearing, let me tell you. Being on weight-bearing and living on the second floor is a bit of a struggle. I managed to learn how to booty bump up the stairs with my good leg, right? My mom was able to help me to the bathroom. I found that I needed help bathing less and less, which is a really good thing. I feel really grateful for my family and my boyfriend for providing support and help me feel like I'm not a burden. I'm really grateful for them and helping me through this trying time. What you're seeing right now is my leg with steri-strip bandages on them, which actually help heal wounds after stitches are removed. They are awesome because you can shower with them, and they are quote-unquote magical, which means they fall off when no longer needed. While you can cut them when they get loose, it's important not to pick at them or pull them off yourself. Even though I was stuck in a wheelchair, me and my family still went places because it was really nice getting out of the house, and it's nice not to go stir crazy, which is what I was prone to do, especially during my non-weight bearing time. And I was really happy when I was able to walk again. Granted, it took some time to adjust to my new leg, but I was able to power through. Now, it was really awesome to have such great home health professionals because they were able to give me a lot of advice and encouragement to be able to walk again when I was finally able to bear weight on my new leg. Now, after I graduated home health, I was able to get additional physical therapy at the Riverside Wellness Center because, honey, the physical therapy never stops. Now, physical therapy was a really big part in the recovery process. It started from right after my surgery all the way to today, where I still have to do some physical therapy exercises because my ankle still gets tight every so often. As I got better with my new leg, I finally started to feel like my old self again. A coworker of mine actually gave me this cane, and it was really helpful, especially when I had to stop using the wheelchair and the walker and bear weight again on my new leg. Now, using this cane was an adjustment, but over time I started to feel like really cool using it. Now, I didn't think I would be able to, but I was able to work Scream that same year as a scare actor for the 25th anniversary of the event. Now, I can't say much about Scream, but I did feel like they were able to accommodate me appropriately with my new leg. Thank you for going on this journey with me and reliving the nightmare that was me breaking my leg at the skating rink. And now, here's my leg as it looks right now. The minor cuts, the one near my ankle and one near my knee, those are completely healed and you can barely see them. The two major cuts, the one cut over my leg where the fracture happened, and the one on my thigh where they inserted the rod, those are healing up quite nicely.